Good evening and welcome back to From Day One, Part 3, the overnight. And tonight we have a bittersweet episode of Midnight in the Desert to bring you. After mid-December of 2015, Art had to leave his show, Midnight in the Desert, due to some health concerns. He did, however, make one final return, and that's where it finds us tonight, March 11th, 2016. Open line with no guest, with Art being the guest host of Midnight in the Desert in his absolute final radio broadcast ever. So without further ado, here's part 1 of Art's absolute final Midnight in the Desert.
From the high deserts and the great American Southwest, I bid you all good evening, good morning, good afternoon. This is Midnight in the Desert, and I'm Art Bell. And it's a Friday night, Saturday morning, and I see trouble ahead. Oh, do I see trouble ahead. Great to be here, great to be back, filling in for Heather, taking the night off, long weekend. So I'm going to be here for open lines. Anything goes, open lines. Rules of the show: no bad language, one call per show, drink minimum 2. I know that's a maximum, right? It's good to be here. So those are the rules. I want to thank Telos, Joe Talbot, who made this kind of audio possible on the net. It's astounding. The Evil Roland, my webmaster, Keith. Heather Wade, who was the producer, now is sort of it. LV.net. In the case of me, they get the internet here. Get me, you. TuneIn Radio. Who am I forgetting? Aaron and Asia at home. I'm going to get in trouble tonight. Sure as heck I'm going to get in trouble, but I don't care. When I first began doing talk radio, a long time ago, I did political talk radio. Now, I could not hope or even pray for a more interesting political time. It was interesting long ago. But this program began because I got bored as hell with politics way back when. Just simply had enough. And that was the birth of the whole show, way back when. People don't know that about me, but it's true. Some of you know, right? So it's so interesting right now. It's like I watch every day. We may say, oh, it's bad, interesting bad, but I think it's really interesting good. My God, so much has happened since we last talked. It's hard for me to know where to begin. And before I do, and I'm going to do it, politics is open season tonight. I want to note, since I've been on, there's been this discovery, and it is the completion of Einstein's symphony, if you will. Gravity waves. Oh, God, that's a big one. It's a Nobel Prize likely discovery. What are gravity waves? Well, they were only theorized by Einstein. Now, we know gravity waves kind of like radio waves. They propagate kind of like radio at the speed of light. Radio goes very nearly the speed of light. And gravity waves at the speed of light. Now, they have just barely detected them because of the dance and finally the embrace of two black holes. Fortunately for us, I guess, the black holes, well, they became attracted, frankly. And then, like the egg and the sperm, they merged. And as they merged, this immense gravity wave was sent out, and we have now picked it up. And as I mentioned, it kind of completes the Einstein symphony. Now, other than the obvious, a couple of black holes merging would mean big stuff, big things happening, right? Normally. And that is the case here. But let's look down the line a little bit with gravity waves. They're produced by objects with mass at some level, right? Even you produce a gravity wave when you move around somehow or another. Not that we can detect it right now, but you have mass, and so yes, you emit a very tiny gravity wave, the Earth a bigger one. Other objects, big ones. Now, let me tell you where this could lead that's of interest, okay? If there are parallel universes, it has always been said that, gravity waves might be the way we will detect that they are there, and that's cool. Think about it. Is that cool or what? That there could be parallel universes. We don't see them. They're not in our physical space. They're in another space-time. But these gravity waves, well, they traverse space-time. I want you to think about that a little bit. They traverse space-time. So maybe, just maybe, we'll end up talking to somebody in a parallel universe. I think that's really cool. I guess we could consider the the receivers for gravity waves that we presently have to be kind of like a whisker crystal radio. You just barely can hear a signal if you stand on your head and get the whisker just right. In other words, crude. But eventually, we may learn all about gravity waves, and then the mind is boggled. I mean, we might end up communicating with another universe, whatever that'll mean. We might, learn how to master gravity waves. My God, we might learn how to amplify gravity waves. And then who knows what we might do. So I had to note that was a gigantic discovery. Probably will get a Nobel Prize. Boggles the mind about what it could conceivably mean. Now, the other big thing I want to talk about this morning, well, there's one more before we get to politics. Barack Obama, our president, says the encryption versus national security debate will not be settled by taking an absolute view of the situation. He says both values are important. Both values are important. They are, but they're just so mutually exclusive that I don't know how you get to a midway point. There's a big deal going on right now with Apple, right? You got the government wanting Apple to... Well, what happened is somebody who might be a terrorist, or probably was a terrorist, left behind an iPhone, and you can take 10 tries at cracking it, and if you don't make it in 10 tries, it erases everything. So Apple's gone to the government and said, look, you've got to open this baby up. We want to know what's in there. Apple's saying, well, if we did that, and we can do it, it would potentially get out, and everybody's apples would be no longer secure. So it seems to me these two things are really almost mutually exclusive in that you just can't have it both ways. Either you have privacy at this expense, Or you don't. You decide that safety over privacy is the way to go, and you just don't let them have it. Apple stands their ground. Till we come at them with a knife and carve them up, I suppose. I don't know. It's the government, right? Donald Trump. That should get you going right there. Donald Trump. This has been the most amazing political season that I've participated in, and believe me, I love politics. To watch this happening is incredible. Blinking incredible. Here's what I wrote on Facebook, and I want you to hear it. I wrote, Donald Trump may or may not be what America wants or needs. But there's one thing for sure. The establishment that so hates him has brought this on themselves by again and again failing to do the things they promise in election after election. Yes, there's anger, and they have only themselves to thank for it. He's their monster. He really is their monster, and it has been a blast to watch. I think what I wrote on Facebook, and every word was mine, I think that it's just absolutely correct. We love him or hate him. That'll be one of the questions tonight. Is he going to be a good president, do you think? If he gets a nomination and beats Hillary? Or is he going to be a disaster? An unmitigated disaster? So let me read this to you, if I might, one more time. I rarely write something that I consider to be, I don't know, what's the right word for it? Not, I don't know, not the cat's meow, not the best prose, but, it kind of really says it. So let me read it one more time. Donald Trump may or may not be what America wants or needs, but there's one thing for sure. The establishment that so hates him has brought this on themselves by again and again failing to do the things they promise in election after election. Yes, there's anger, and they have only themselves to thank for it. So watching all this happen, I watched Chicago. I watched every minute of Chicago tonight. I was dismayed, to say the least. CNN just about had a cow saying, oh my God, Donald said this or that, said something, and now look what we have. All these, well, they didn't say it, MoveOn.org people clogging the streets, starting fights. But we need to find a way to blame it on Donald. So we've heard him say that ain't the way they did it in the old days. Right? That they got carried out on a stretcher back then. The Chicago of old, right, during the Vietnam War. It was very reminiscent of that, but CNN about had a cow. Had to blame it on Donald. So one of the questions tonight is Trump. Good president, or is he going to be a good president, do you think? Is it possible? Or is he going to be an unmitigated, I love that word, unmitigated disaster? And there's more, but I've got to take a break. So we will do that, and I will continue. So anything goes tonight, but I'm definitely not ruling out politics. You want to call about that, it's going to be just fine. I'm Art Bell.
Again, we mute for the audio. We'll return to his absolute final appearance in a moment.
Sweeps across America, you found an oasis for the mind. To call Midnight in the Desert, please dial 1-952-CALL-ART. That's 1-952-225-5278.
Well, okay. Chugging along. Those are the numbers. Now, it's time for the talk. And the talk is, we've changed things around. The numbers have come back here, I hope. And so we'll be able to take calls here at the normal national number, which is area code 952-225-5278. And you can say whatever you want. There's so many things to talk about, actually. But again, I'm not barring political discussion. If you want to answer one of those questions, you're welcome to. Anybody out there watching House of Cards? Have you noticed the way it's kind of parallel in reality right now? Okay, the talk. And I see that we're going to break into break pretty quickly here, so I'll try and get it done. We've brought the numbers back here. So if you would like to call, I gave you the national number, and I hope that's functional and brought back here. Otherwise, you're welcome to use Skype. Now, it's the old Skype connection if you want to get through. In other words, since I'm back here, it's MITD51 if you're in North America. That's Midnight in the Desert, MITD, the initials only, MITD 51. And if you're calling from outside the country, it's MITD 55. That's MITD 55. So, that in mind, I wonder what you want to talk about. I will throw out one last thing, and I suppose this could be a special line, if you want it to be. Such a simple question. If you had no fear, this is kind of because it's fun, because it's a Friday night. If you had no fear, what would you do? If you had no fear, what would you do? I can give you my answer. Have you seen those guys in the suits that approximate wings, I guess, and a little material in between, and they put them on and they jump off mountains? And somehow, I guess forward inertia is sufficient, and that little bit of cloth is sufficient to cause somebody to go into a semi-glide and live to tell about it. That's what I'd do. Especially at my age, I'd give it a shot. Jump off some large mountain and fly for a while. I've loved the sensation of flight. I just love it. By the way, I have a new hobby, and that is my drone. I have gone to the next generation of drone. And oh God, they're really getting good, folks. I'll call them the home drones. They're getting really good. So what do I mean by that? Well, they will hover in place. In other words, you can send them up and just let go of the controls. GPS keeps them exactly where you've left them, and it'll just hover. God, Skype is really lighting up. And the phones are all lit up, so I'll try to keep it short and sweet, but they're amazing. If they get out of control in any way at all, very unlikely if you know what you're doing. They say, I've lost signal, and they go home, rise up to 100 feet or whatever you've got it set for, and then land automatically. They always come home on their own. So I've been flying all over this part of the valley. And it's really fun. One can only imagine. Every time you buy something, of course, I've now come out with a new model that has collision avoidance. As soon as I bought this one, DJI, the company I bought it from, came out with a new one. Now, with collision avoidance. What are these things going to be like in 10 or 15 years? You wonder about that? I'm telling you, it's happening so fast. I bought one drone early on. I'm always an early adopter, usually regretting it. That's the pain of early adopters, right? With anything, you buy a car when it's brand new, and probably you're going to break it in with, whatever beta testing they're doing on you. And it's the same with electronics pretty much, and obviously drones. But I've made out very well in this case. Boy, have I had fun. This baby will go about 3 miles and send back high-definition video as she goes. I've had her about 3 miles out at whatever altitude I wish. Usually I go high enough to be just outside the reach of most shotguns and stuff like that, because I'm sure people saw you hovering. They would, go and grab whatever. I'm worried about that. So I stay 150, 200 feet up, something like that. The video it returns is astounding, high-definition video. Really cool stuff. So I don't know whether you can get into it. It's getting more affordable all the time. It's an awful lot of fun. I guess if you're near an airport, probably you shouldn't do it because it won't let you take off near an airport. It's got the safety feature built in. Otherwise, though, if you're out here in the middle of virtually nowhere, kind of like I am right now, it's really fun. Really fun. You don't fly in a lot of windy weather, but boy, they have made amazing strides, and that really, even at my age, makes me wonder what it's going to be like, say, in 10 years. I mean, already they've amped up the technology to the point that they're just utterly reliable. The video returned could probably be, and is, used for a movie. Or it could be used for a movie. It's that kind of quality. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So if any of you out there have joined the group Flying Drones, I'd like to know about that. All right, well, I suppose I've eaten up enough time, but I did want to do what, oh, dare I do it. I'm sure you'll hate my guts by the end of the program, absolutely hate my guts for bringing up politics, but I don't care. I can live with hate. Anyway, the rally breakup was kind of interesting. And CNN sure did try and pin it directly on Donald. I mean, really pin it on Donald. I'm not buying into it. It was MoveOn.org. They're the ones who went there and, were the rowdy bunch. And they took away his right to speak. I'm Art Bell, and this is Midnight in the Desert. Would love to have you join. Stay right where you are.
Again, we're paused for the musical bumper. We'll return immediately thereafter. Art's final show in his lifetime.
Sweeps across America, you found an oasis for the mind. To call Midnight in the Desert, please dial 1-952-CALL ART. That's 1-952-225-5278.
Well, all right, anything goes. Open lines are just about to happen. Politics. I've got one more thing I want to say about Trump. Ben Carson endorsed Trump today, and I was thoughtful about that. Ben Carson, I think you would have to say Ben Carson is like the mildest of the mild, a thinking man for sure, right? So I would say for many out there, the endorsement of Carson would have been shocking. I mean, those of you who think that Trump's a stump, basically, those of you that think that way would be quite shocked that Dr. Carson has endorsed him. Anyway, enough. Whatever you want to talk about, pick on any of these things, and I'm glad to engage you. It's open lines. And one more time, the numbers have changed. national number and all those, they're the same. So, but the Skype stuff has changed. North America, MITD 51. MITD 51. Really sound good on Skype, too. In the rest of the world, it's MITD 55. That's MITD 55 worldwide. And if you're not supposed to be on that line, I will eject you like a protester at a Trump rally. So let's go to the phone, start here, and say, good luck to us. You're on the air.
Hey, Art.
Hey.
Great Friday night. Friday night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'd like to say really quickly that if Donald Trump is elected, I hope that he can do good. And that's all I can say. As far as no fear, Art, here's what I do. If I had no fear, I would use nanocarbon fibers, modern materials like lightweight plastic, and a PVC cylinder full of helium to turn myself into a drone. That actually, before this planet is gone, people can turn on their TVs and see a human flap their wings and fly.
What are you what are you calling me on, sir?
Oh, I'm calling you on a cell phone. I'm at work right now, trying to keep the background noise low. But I'd just like to someday see a human being be able to, maybe not with the, definitely not with the grace of a bird, but to be able to use modern materials and maybe a little bit of helium for lift and actually be able to, with a little bit of assistance, lap some wings and fly. And I really think that is possible with modern materials and modern technology.
All right, sir. Well, listen, thank you. I'm all into it, flight. But I don't want to have to use helium. I appreciate that. It's lighter than air, keeps you suspended, but I mean, that's the old stuff, right? I want to be able to fly. I mean, really fly. I don't know, maybe like Superman. If you're going to go for it, let's go whole hog. That's what I say. Let's go, actually, to Skype and somebody calling himself Sharky.
Yep, that's me.
Hey, Sharky.
Glad to hear you again, Art, really.
Good to be here, thank you.
Tons of people asking for a shout-out tonight. I think they're all just as glad to hear you from Art Bell's Midnight in the Desert fans. But Trump 2016. Absolutely.
Yeah, really?
Oh, my goodness.
You're sold, huh?
I am sold. I've watched every single GOP debate from Canada.
Yeah, I've watched every one of them, too.
It's riveting. It's absolutely fascinating. They're so competitive at it now.
They are. I heard that Trump made a comment that he thought it was too tame for him.
Too tame?
Yeah.
My goodness. Well, he wasn't tame at the last GOP debates, but I like that. That's refreshing. Yeah. One thing, though, I don't understand is a lot of people, they criticize Trump so much, but meanwhile they know so little about politics.
Is he getting criticism, really?
Yes, of course. From the left wing, of course, but it's just, I don't know. I have to compare him to Putin, right? The little bromance that everybody says they have going on. I see so much of Putin in Trump, right? If you listen to people, one of the things that they're most tired with the establishment is the lies, the Washington, right, as Trump calls it.
You see Putin. You see Putin in Trump.
I do. I really do. Well, I mean, if you think about it, who is the most American of the candidates? Who's the person that matches the most stereotypical idea of an American out of all the candidates right now? I would say it's Trump. And just in the way that one of the most stereotypical Russians you can think of is Putin. He's the perfect image of Russia. He has massive respect of his people. He unites them all under one cause. And Trump, he seems like he's a bit of a revival of that in America.
What about the charge that many are making that it's a quick trip to another Hitler?
I don't understand where they're getting that from. I mean, you see these little quotes from Trump, like Trump wants to close off the internet. But meanwhile, that's a very small quote from a very big speech.
Close off the... Oh, you mean to, like ISIS?
Yes, and people took that as him saying he was going to shut down the internet, and they went wild.
Oh, please.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. So you're completely sold. Do you have any prediction about, there's two big states to watch, of course, coming Tuesday, right? That'd be Florida and Ohio. What do you think?
Florida and Ohio.
Yeah.
I think Trump will probably take Florida, but Ohio's a little far north. I think there's a lot of liberal Democrats going on up there.
Well, there are, sir, but all right, thank you very much. Let me tell you something. What isn't getting much publicity, because I don't think that CNN would want to talk about it. Yeah, I do watch CNN. Is the fact that lots and lots of Democrats are coming across. Call them Reagan Democrats, call them whatever you want. They are so interested in Trump that they're coming across and registering and voting for him. So, what his ceiling is, I'm not sure, but, you know, they're always talking about ceiling. Yeah, you cannot possibly go past 35%. Well, you know, of course you can. If a lot of Democrats walk across, grab Republican ballots and vote for him, sure you can. There's a lot of that going on. And now whether all this boils well for him or he sinks like a rock after what happened, for example, tonight, if CNN is able to pin this on Trump personally, and they were sure trying. Man, oh man, were they trying. Yeah, but he made a comment about something getting soft. So he's bringing all this on. Well, no, MoveOn.org did this. I mean, that's just the truth. Okay, it was intended. Phone line, you're on the air. Hello.
Well, hi, Art. This is Tom in Los Angeles.
Hello, Tom. How are you?
I'm fine. You could ask me any question about politics and I'll have an opinion. But I'd rather make a quick joke and then talk about Fukushima.
Wow, really? A joke and then Fukushima. That's quite a combination. But go ahead.
Well, California conveniently just passed the right to die mercifully law. And that becomes effective on June 9th, which conveniently is about 10 days before Trump becomes the GOP candidate. And so California has some options.
Are you, sir, are you sure about that?
Yes.
I mean, really, really sure that he's on the way. This is it. I mean, they really tried hard with this messed up rally tonight.
Yeah.
To blame it on Trump. You don't think it's going to stick, huh?
Oh, no, it won't stick. But I think that you've got the crossover incorrect. I think that Bernie Sanders picks up the crossover vote from the other Republicans that are not Trump. And that Bernie Sanders will have a huge surprise for Hillary Clinton because nobody believes her anymore.
Well, she does have trust issues, yes.
Yeah. So my personal opinion is that Bernie Sanders against Trump will be the ticket, and both of them are reeling in a lot of maybe first-time voters or occasional voters.
Did you watch the last Democrat debate between the two?
I did, and I was quite offended by Hillary trying to say that Bernie was bought by the Koch brothers, the energy industry.
Yeah, I don't know. How does she get away with that? I mean, or even close to that. Bernie's got these little donations that come from millions, so come on.
Right. I mean, he's got like $10 $3 donations from me just so I can run his numbers up.
Yeah, and your Koch brothers wouldn't be supporting that anyway.
No way. So how could, Hillary's credibility just goes down the tubes. And for her to say that Bernie wanted the auto industry to fail, they needed their $18 billion and that whole TARP thing that he voted against was like $700 billion. So whatever Bernie opinion was about not giving $700 billion to the banks was not a vote against bailing out the auto industry. He voted 6 weeks before that to bail out the auto industry. Hillary just is got some bad advisors that are telling her to go for the throat with Bernie when she should just waltz into the end of July convention a winner instead of ruining her own chances.
Nah, I don't see Hillary going for the throat. She doesn't do it like that. She's not. She admits herself she's not the consummate politician at all.
Well, this is something she did admit recently, but that won't stop her from trying.
Well, she is pretty consummate, actually. But she says, she just doesn't have the gravitas, that her husband does and others.
Well, that's true. And she also, there's a funny thing about men. They can't listen to women who are yelling. It's very difficult, even for me, to keep my hand off of the volume control during these debates.
Uh-huh.
And I feel the same way about the tone of voice of Cruz. He has this whiny buzzard type of,
whiny buzzard. That's pretty good. Whiny buzzard. I haven't been able to put my finger, but I'm telling you, man, something about Cruz totally freaks me out. I don't know what it is. I look at him and I listen to him. I don't know. He creeps me out. I mean,
I'll tell you what should creep you out about Cruz. Himself and his father are these evangelical, righteous sons of guns that think God has selected Ted Cruz to lead our country in this caliphate type of Christian world. And that's scarier than Trump at any time.
Are you a Trump fan?
No, I'm a Bernie guy.
You're a Bernie guy.
Yeah, I really
the Bernie. Yeah. I will give Bernie this. He is really, really getting his message across. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Loud and clear.
You know what? I sound like a broken record to everybody I speak to. The old rule is talk to 20 friends and 50 strangers if you want to help your candidate.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm a broken record because I can repeat his top 12, top hits pretty easily. And I can be pretty convincing. I mean, it's pretty hard to persuade a Republican off of their position no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But to get a liberal out to vote, maybe even for the first time, in 10 or 20 years, is I'm very persuasive when I speak Bernie's language.
All right. Let me run this by you. Is it true or is it not true, sir, that when you look at Bernie Sanders and you look at Trump, when it comes to at least trade, they are just about on the same page?
I think that Bernie has some credibility on the trade issue, and that Trump has picked it up as one of the thorns in the side of Americans, so he's running with it. I don't believe Trump believes a word he's saying about trade, but I do think they have the same position.
Well, I respectfully disagree with you, and I appreciate your call. Thank you. Interesting. I think he's wrong. I think you can say good Trump, bad Trump, hate Trump, but Trump does know what he's talking about when it comes to trade. Now, I can't make that claim in a lot of other areas because he's been pretty broad strokey, right? But I think he knows very well what he's doing when it comes to trade, and I think he will make good deals. If there's a reason to really get excited about Trump, I think it is the art of the deal. That he will make good deals for us and get us the hell out of a lot of things but that's just me. And so I'm a little bit attracted to Trump. So there you have it. That's why I said probably by the end of the program you'll all hate me. Probably working on it already. Nevertheless, let's go to somebody called Phil on Skype. Hello, Phil.
Hey, Art.
Hey, Phil.
I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana. I've been listening to you. Well, actually, I'm recovering right now from open heart surgery last week.
Oh.
Yeah, fun. Please don't anyone do this. You don't have to. I had my first real bad day today, and then to have you hosting the show tonight is just absolutely amazing. It's putting a big smile on my face, so I want to let you know about that. Absolutely. What do you mean, real?
Well, I thought when I said that I was going to talk some politics tonight that everybody would go, I'm turning it off right now, canceling everything I have, my mortgage too.
No, I come from a long line of, I have a degree in history, and I come from a long line of folks that, we sat around when we were kids in the 60s and the 70s, and sometimes we didn't even get up from the dinner table until 10 o'clock at night from talking about the world and politics, and my parents were real into it, and I love politics, but
well, you got to admit, this is a banner year for interesting.
Oh, absolutely. It reminds me a lot with the first election that I was able to participate in. I was 18 years old in 1980. And I got to listen to, all the stuff about Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter and everything like that. And it's kind of spooky how I remember the same rhetoric being used about Ronald Reagan as people are trotting out now with Donald Trump. And it's I just don't get where the Nazi stuff comes from. It's, who are the Nazis tonight, by the way,
Well, we know where it comes from, of course. It comes from the question on David Duke, and that was probably something that his answer I didn't agree with. Now, I know many times he is disavowed, but on that night, and intentionally, I might add, he didn't disavow. He just sort of mixed up the question a little bit.
Yeah. Well, listen, I just wanted to tell you that I've listened since the 90s. I'm a rock musician. I listen to you night after night after night forever, whenever we're available and everything. This last time you were on, you were mentioning this Bell Gap all the time. Mm-hmm. So I kind of lurked there for 4 months reading this stuff that's on Bell Gap. And I just want to tell you, Art, don't bug with those people, man. Are you kidding me? Don't worry about what these people are saying. It seems to me, judging by the writing and the spelling and the grammar and stuff, that these kids are like 40 years old and less. I'm 53 myself, and it just seems to me that it's just people trying to get other people's goat constantly.
Well, they have an attitude. That's all right. Look, I don't shy away from rough. I never have. And I used to run a BBS when I was young. I actually wrote the code in BASIC for a BBS before the internet. And I had a place called the War Room on my BBS, and it was actually intended for people who, want war. I don't mean world war, I mean personal war.
Right.
So, I can handle it.
Well, I know, but I mean, it seems like sometimes you get a little perturbed by it, and I just want to be out here and just go, Art, you are the master. There are only a couple of talk show hosts in the last 50 years that can do what you do. And don't let anybody get to you, because you're the best. I love you, and that's about all I have to say.
Oh, come on. You should have one more nice thing to say.
Okay, I do have one more.
I'm kidding, sir. Thank you very much for the call. Have a great night. Anyway, good. I'm glad to hear you guys are jumping on it. It is interesting. Love him, hate him, with unmitigated hate, whatever. It's interesting. It is the most interesting political season I think I'll ever see in my life. It's even better than House of Cards. And I love House of Cards. Binge watch it whenever I can, but anybody out there, Mr. and Mrs. Trump by acclamation, right? Some of you will know what that means. Hello there, Myrtle Beach, I think.
Yes. Hey, Art. This is Jason. About in reference to the drones that you were talking about.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you bought one. Just for my information, do you have to have a special license, or can anybody go out and?
Well, anybody can go out, but you do need simply to go up to a website and register your name, pay $5. You'll get a little decal I hear now. It's the FAA website, and you get a little decal with a number on it, and that's all you've got to do. It's $5 and a couple minutes to do it. That's all.
Okay, well, that clarifies it a little bit. The reason I bring that up, I was thinking about what you were saying, and my head being the way it is, I'm thinking about human nature and 15 years out, and the way that if, let's say, half of your block owns a drone, well, the nosy neighbors and that kind of thing. People will be putting cameras on these things, and
they come cameras pre-installed, sir, including 4K video if you want it.
So their privacy is going to kind of become a thing of the past, I think.
I don't think so. I would never dare hover my drone, for example, outside somebody's window, because sure as can be, they're going to go find a rifle or a shotgun or even handgun at that distance and put it out of its misery. And that's a lot of money down the drain, so no.
That's true. I can see that. It just got me thinking, because even if in the world of crime, I can see, I don't know, even that far out, people putting guns or something remotely flying around if they have an enemy or something.
They've already put a handgun on a drone. And what was really cool is the drones hold position by GPS, so if you watch the video of it being fired, boom, and the drone backs up and then goes right back to immediately to the position it was in, that it's holding on GPS. So it's like you can see the recoil, and it would come right back. It was amazing. So they're already doing it.
Wow. It's going to be a brave new world 15 years from now, that's for sure. One other thing in reference to this may be a little ethereal about the thing that you would fear. Well, if you...
No. The thing you would do if you had no fear.
If you had no fear, period, at all.
That's right.
I guess I don't know what I would do if I had no fear at all. I think I would be worried about a world where people had no fear.
Well, the purpose of this question, sir, it applies only to you.
Okay.
So if your fear was completely gone, you do anything you want, what would you do?
I would probably, if the means were there, would attempt to go into outer space if I had the money or something like that.
Really? Even knowing it might be a one-way gig.
Exactly. And maybe even Mars. That would be very tempting to do. And I think if I had no fear, I would do it. Yeah.
Mars. Yeah, that is probably a one-way ticket. A lot of people signed up to do it. I don't know what that says about people. Maybe it says there's a lot of people out there without any fear at all. I don't know. Anyway, I give you mine. I'd like to fly like a bird, I guess, on one of those uniforms, jump off something really high and fly. That's what
And with that, we will leave Coast to Coast not Coast to Coast. We will leave Midnight in the Desert for tonight. We will pick up Art's final radio broadcast, part 2, tomorrow night. Listening to this, though, did kind of spike me to do just a little bit of digging. And this particular episode we have aired out over the radio waves on March 11th, 2016. Just over 2 years later, on April 16th, 2018, is when Art Bell died, passed away. Had to dig into the archives, but digged up a report on his death. And with the final moments we do have tonight for the overnight, just go through that. Well, maybe not. Nexters. Nexters, wake up. Alright, I think you woke up. Or at least Astral's trying to move a little. Alright, the cause of death for radio host Art Bell, famous for his show Coast to Coast AM and Midnight in the Desert, and his X-Files flavored focused on the paranormal, has been revealed as an accidental drug overdose, dying at the age of 72. It does require you to move on to part 3, Nexters. According to the Nye County Sheriff, Art Bell's death was a result of multiple drug intoxication from his own lawfully prescribed prescriptions. The Las Vegas Journal-Review reported that Bell had 4 prescription medications in his system at the time of death: the opioid oxycodone, the analgesic, hydrocodone. Just a second, I'm just setting up another fight real quick, then I can get back to the report. There we go. The analgesic hydrocodone, diazepam, often marketed as Valium, and cardacepadol, a muscle relaxant. Bell died at his Pahrump, New Jersey home on April 13th, Nye County Sheriff Sharon Wentley announced on a post to the community. He described him as a longtime resident of the Pahrump area. Coast to Coast AM did confirm the news on Twitter at the time, saying its staff was profoundly saddened with the news that the creator and original host of Coast to Coast AM, Art Bell, had passed away at the age of 72. According to an obituary shared by the program, the show became syndicated across the country in 1993 and drew in listeners with its wee-hour chatter about conspiracy theory and aliens, shadow people, and spectral energy. The obituary said that Bell began his journey on the other side as we take solace in the hope that he is now finding out all the answers to the mysteries that he pursued for so many nights with all of us. Even after relinquishing the title as host in the early 2000s to George Norrie, Bell returned to the airwaves now and then, and he also starred in a show for Sirius XM satellite radio known as Dark Matter, the obituary said. Before Coast to Coast AM began, Bell, who was born in 1945, was in the Air Force during the Vietnam War, and there he indulged his childhood passion for radio by operating a pirate radio station, according to the obituary. Bell broadcasted Coast to Coast from his radio station KYNE there in Pahrump, Nevada. During Bell's National Radio Hall of Fame induction in 2008, his former business partner Alan Korberf, said no one was better than Bell at understanding how to create a theater of the mind. So, what we have that we just listened to, and of course we'll pick up in part 2 tomorrow night, was done just basically 2 years before his passing. And if next year would get back to the fight, we could get back to the love. I will be honest, I've actually been many years since I've heard his last deal, so I did not listen to it before I selected it for tonight's show. So if you are somebody who does get turned off by political talk, will apologize, but we will not be preempting it. We will go through until the end of his very last radio appearance. So it will be tomorrow night and likely on Tuesday to finish out that particular episode of Midnight in the Desert. Yeah. Since we do have a few minutes left, let's go and bring a little bit of part 2 into the overnight with maybe the most useless frauditor in existence.
On these comments real quick before I run the video.
Oh, well, look at that. The fraudsters are actually responding to feedback on his videos. Let's see how that goes.
MJ Moo says, I don't understand the point of these videos. The cop was minding their own business, and you went out of your way to confront them.
It's a bit odd starting at the bottom on the right and then working your way up. I guess I'll allow it.
Yes. Imagine trying to make ends meet during a pandemic, working a job, being a legal, law-abiding citizen, and getting riddled with traffic tickets and fines.
A law-abiding citizen that gets traffic tickets and fines. Now, something doesn't add up there, now does it? Also, what the hell does it have to do with this comment? You get a speeding ticket because you speed, you get fines probably because you don't have license or registration or even driver's license, then you're just gonna randomly harass police officers as a result? Well, that's not taking feedback and trying to improve, now is it?
Also, imagine being a kid, minding your business, getting kidnapped from your friends and family by the police for months or years. Hank, M1953, you are wrong.
Well, wait a minute. How is Hank wrong? He said, stoned and stupid is no way to go through life, son. I mean, what? Huh? How is he wrong? I mean, that is your rebuttal? I was already stunned at your kid being kidnapped by police. I don't even know what the hell happened there. Yeah, that seems about right.
And Gray J8, why do you keep fricking with the cops? Just frick the cops. Hey.
Oh, what is this? Is this just some kind of teen angst? But hey, if you're gonna go stoned and stupid through life, I wouldn't expect anything less. We've got a giggler over here.
Is he actually chasing the cop car? I think he is.
Stoned and stupid, eh? I mean, I see you constantly focusing on a single target and then walking around like some kind of weird zombie. I mean, when I called frauditors camera zombies, not an end goal. Well, what the hell is up with this random video frame? I mean, I can't see what's going on inside the car, so did he wave at you or something while you're standing in the middle of the road? I mean, is that what frauditors do these days? Hell, man, are you trying to piss me off at bad camera work? Why did you replay this? What?
Turn signal.
Jesus
Really?
Christ.
Really? That is your life. I mean, you are ridiculous.
Turn signal. Yeah.
If I wouldn't know any better, I'd reckon you tried to piss me off there with your video editing.
They're stuck at driving. They're not courteous. Follow way too close. They tailgate. They don't use turn signals. They don't come to complete stops. They shouldn't be issuing citations for statutes that they don't follow. You guys need driving classes. Flat out.
Horseshit. All those things are meant to keep the roads safe. So, be honest, did it take you longer to stand around recording one cop messing up than the rather fitting runtime of my video?
Thank you, Mr. Regical. Alright, we'll finish this fight up. And then we'll very likely just consider this our end of our situation. Well, that is if the fight wants to load. There it goes, finally. I think it may be a good time that we're getting ready to call it for the night if Nexters is going to start fighting us to actually have the individual fights. Remember, we will have more Lunar New Year all day tomorrow. Here on from day one. So that will be waiting for us. As we totally get absolutely nothing from that fight. Let's do one last one as I go through the outro. As always, please do make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Get us to those goals of 5,000 views of the videos so Boxing Nexters will pay attention to us. And 1,000 subscribers so YouTube and Google will pay attention. CoinBase.com/join/Parsley. Get yourself $10 free of Bitcoin to use any way you like in Dominion. And those Coinbase Learn less than 2-minute lessons, one question quizzes to get yourself up to another $100 in free crypto to use here in Dominion. As always, until next time, make sure you do like, share, and subscribe. And it's always a great new world to release the Krakens. So we'll finish this fight up. And then we will part company for this, the great day 61 of From Day 1. And we have just an experience potion. Very not happy. Come on. Come on, extras. I know you're having trouble, but let's at least get back to the main screen. There we go. Make sure we don't have... I know we don't have anything in the elemental season. Okay. And these are probably just the bubbles for people here to make sure. Yep, +1 for those who are there. Alrighty, as always, again, do like, share, and subscribe. And it's always a great new world to release to Krakens. We'll see each other tomorrow here from Day 1.